Hey folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin. We're heard right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Shooting Up North, Instagram at Alliance PW Network, and feel free to join our Facebook group, the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. All right, let's get into it. This is Shooting Up North. I am your host, Lewis Carlin. Let's talk about Impact on Access TV from February 9th. I don't want to go over everything, but I want to go over a couple of things. First and foremost, we found out, and I called it. I was right. I said the most the the one New Japan Pro Wrestling star that we're most likely going to see in Impact Wrestling is, in fact, KENTA, and I was 100% right. KENTA will be a part of No Surrender, teaming with Chris Bay and Ace Austin as they take on Kushida and the Motor City Machine Guns. Great announcement there on KENTA. KENTA, an absolute star. Watched New Japan Pro Wrestling's The New Beginning this morning. Had a terrific match against Hiroshi Tanahashi. He lost to Tanahashi, but it was a terrific match. KENTA, an absolute superstar. Very happy that we're going to see him at No Surrender and Impact Wrestling. I'm thinking we're going to see him at No Surrender. I'm thinking we're going to see him at Sacrifice, and then of course we're going to see him at Multiverse United. Both events in March. I'm expecting a number of New Japan Pro Wrestling stars to show up at No Surrender and Sacrifice as well. I would love to see KENTA at Sacrifice. That shows are a little more than a month away, and hopefully, fingers crossed, KENTA will be a part of Sacrifice and the Sacrifice Fallout. But KENTA is what can I say about KENTA? He's just an absolute superstar of professional wrestling, and for him again coming into Impact Wrestling for a couple of shows is absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to it, and I think they're gonna lead. I think they're gonna lead to a KENTA versus Steve Maclin match. I'm predicting that's gonna be the match at Multiverse United. Steve Maclin 1-on-1 against KENTA. I still believe KENTA is going to defeat Fred Rosser next week at Battle in the Valley to win the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship. So I'm thinking it's going to be a title match for Steve Maclin at Multiverse United. I'm picking Maclin, I'm picking KENTA to defend the title against Steve Maclin. Macklin's not going to defeat KENTA. I think KENTA is going to go over in that one, but I think it's going to be a title match for Steve Maclin at Multiverse United if that match is in fact announced. And if they don't announce KENTA versus Steve Maclin, I hope Steve Maclin at least gets Minoru Suzuki. I think that would be a great match as well. So hopefully they'll announce that match. I keep checking to see if they're announcing more matches for Multiverse United, but they haven't yet. Hopefully they'll announce some more matches um in the upcoming week. I'm very curious to see like who Trey Miguel is gonna defend the X Division Championship against. I would love to see Trey Miguel against Roma Takahashi, but they haven't announced Takahashi for the show. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe against Clark Connors, he could defend the title. Curious to see who Fred Rosser is going to be going up against. There's a lot, right? So hopefully they'll announce some more matches in the upcoming I'd like to see what Minoru Suzuki is going up against. Like this, I want them to announce KENTA and Steve Maclin. Got my fingers crossed for that. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on that. Hopefully they'll announce some more matches. But great news about KENTA at No Surrender. And again, expect to see a number of New Japan Pro Wrestling stars at No Surrender. I would be okay if KENTA actually confronted Josh Alexander after Alexander defeats Rich Swann, because there's no way Alexander's losing to Rich Swann. I would be okay if KENTA confronted Josh Alexander and challenge him to a match at Sacrifice. And then we get Josh Alexander against KENTA at Sacrifice. I would be okay with that. Is that the route they're going to go? I don't know. I'm not sure. It could be a title versus title match, because at No Surrender is after Battle in the Valley. KENTA might already have the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight title. I'd be all for it, man. If they did a title versus title match, and they could go like a 60-minute draw or something like that. But I'd be okay with that as well. There's a lot of possibilities for KENTA in Impact Wrestling, and I hope it's a couple of months we're going to see KENTA in Impact Wrestling. Also, Steph De Lander, we had a debut. We had a debut. So Steph De Lander made her debut, her Impact Wrestling debut. Um, prior to February 9th, it was February 2nd, actually. They cut a promo on her. Video promo. Steph De Lander is coming. Impact Wrestling social media. Again, they posted Steph De Lander is coming, and she got a nice little promo. And she made her debut last Thursday on Impact on Access TV. And here are my thoughts on that debut. First of all, I thought, I made it known that I thought it was strange that her debut match is against Jordan Grace. Um, I'm not sure. Jordan Grace, I'm not sure why they put her debut match up against Jordan Grace. It could have been, it should have been someone like an Alicia Edwards or something like that. Someone that for Steph De Lander to showcase some of her skills, but to run right over in her first match with Impact Wrestling. But they booked her against Jordan Grace, and Jordan Grace was victorious in this match. I wasn't a fan of the debut. I wasn't a fan of the way they debuted Steph De Lander. I mean, Jordan Grace didn't need a match, didn't need a win, I should say. She didn't need a win here over Steph De Lander. This is Steph De Lander's first match with Impact Wrestling, and they kind of made a big deal about it the week before. And they stick her in there with Jordan Grace. This was basically a Jordan Grace showcase match. And I spoke to BQ about this in depth. We went back and forth a lot, and we are both in agreement. This was a Jordan Grace showcase match, basically. It wasn't anything that made me say, "Wow, Steph De Lander, I want to see her again." Right? It didn't pique my interest in Steph De Lander. Again, I thought it was just a Jordan Grace showcase match. De Lander got some offense in, but again, it wasn't a match that people watching it, anybody watching it is going to say, you know what, Steph De Lander, man, I can't wait to see her again because you brought her in, she got defeated, and I'm sure there's a lot of people right now who aren't even thinking about Steph De Lander, who probably don't even care about Steph De Lander anymore. So I think it was a mistake, and it's not like this is a one-off. She got a promo in the beginning. If it was a one-off, they wouldn't have given her a promo video. She wouldn't have done a promo in the beginning of the match. And Tom Hannifan actually said, we're going to see a lot more in the future of Steph De Lander. So here's what I would have done. Here's what I would have done. I still would have had Jordan Grace, right? If Jordan Grace is going to be the opponent, I would have made Jordan Grace the opponent, but I would have had Steph De Lander defeat Jordan Grace. I would have had to defeat Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace has an upcoming title match. She has a return match. There's a return match clause in her contract, so she gets a return match against the winner of Masha Slamovich and Mickie James. So she's next in line, regardless of anything. So if Steph De Lander defeated Jordan Grace still has that return match in the contract. The return match clause in the contract. So she's going to get a title match regardless. So I would have had Steph De Lander go over here on Jordan Grace. That would have been really impressive. It really would have given Steph De Lander a huge win right off the bat. And down the road, say it's Jordan Grace against Mickie James in 2 or 3 months. Say at Sacrifice, and Jordan Grace defeats Mickie James and regains the Knockouts title. Then suddenly you have Steph De Lander, saying that she deserves a title shot because she defeated Jordan Grace. And then you go into that storyline where Steph De Lander says, I defeated Jordan Grace. I deserve the first shot. And we have a whole, 2 or 3 month storyline with Steph De Lander and Jordan Grace. Steph De Lander defeating opponent after opponent, much like Masha Slamovich did when she first came in. And then finally they set up the match with Jordan Grace. They could even have like a Jordan Grace and Mickie James against Steph De Lander and Masha Slamovich tag team match. And Steph De Lander once again pins Jordan Grace. And that would really pique everybody's interest. Wow, Steph De Lander is something. She pinned Jordan Grace twice, and Jordan Grace is the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. And you could even work into the storyline that Jordan Grace might be, a little afraid of Steph De Lander, afraid to put the title on the line, kind of avoiding Steph De Lander, kind of like going to Santina Morello and say, you know what, Steph De Lander is still kind of new. I don't think she deserves a title shot. Yeah, she got a victory over me, but I'd rather defend my belt against someone who's been with Impact Wrestling for a little longer, like a Giselle Shaw. something like that. Work that into a storyline where Jordan Grace is a little fearful of Steph De Lander, and just have Steph De Lander just keep running right over everybody, and eventually 3, 4 months down the road, finally Jordan Grace has to defend the title against Steph De Lander, and then we get the big payoff match, and of course Jordan Grace will be victorious in the big payoff match. But that's how they should have worked it out. That would have been cool. Or they could have, or with Steph De Lander losing. Here's what they could do as well. So I was thinking this whole thing through. I was thinking this whole thing. So since you had Steph De Lander lose to Jordan Grace, and it appears that Steph De Lander will be back in Impact Wrestling, Tom Hannifan even said himself that we're going to see more of Steph De Lander in the future. So have Steph De Lander go against Deonna Purrazzo, and have Steph De Lander lose to Deonna Purrazzo, and have Steph De Lander get down on herself. And she's in the ring and she's getting down on herself and she looks so distraught. And then you have the design come down. The design music hits, and you have Dina, Angels, and Big Con come to the ring with Sami Callihan, and they confront or they approach Steph De Lander, and they talk to Steph De Lander, and they tell Steph De Lander that if Steph De Lander has killer material, and if Steph De Lander wants to become that killer, Steph De Lander needs to join the design, and Steph De Lander becomes the first female member of the design. She comes in, they make her into the killer that they feel she could be, and then she starts winning all her matches, and she just goes on a huge run. They could do that as well. That they could do with Steph De Lander. That would make it interesting. Okay, so that's two things that's the first thing that I would have done is I would have had her defeat Jordan Grace, go into that storyline. But since she's already lost, I would say now have her lose to Deonna Purrazzo and have her get distraught, have her get upset, and have her get down on herself. But the design comes in, they pick her back up, and they say, you want to become a killer? You want to become one of the top female wrestlers in the Knockouts division? You join the design. We'll give you what you need. You follow what we do, and you will become one of the top stars. She joins the design, becomes the first female member of that faction, and makes history. And we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to leave it at that. That's what they can do. That's what they can do with her. All right. I was happy to see the return of Allysin Kay and Marti Belle. I thought, I think that they're a great addition to the Impact Wrestling Knockouts division. They're a much needed addition to the Impact Wrestling Knockouts division, and I'm going to even say the perfect addition to the Knockouts division, Impact Wrestling Knockouts tag team division, I should say. And good to see them back. I don't know what the contract status is with them. I believe they're signed with the NWA. I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully they'll be wrestling for Impact Wrestling for quite some time. It was good to see them back. It's good to see them. It's going to be good to see them feud with the Death Dolls. That's going to be a good feud, but Impact Wrestling Knockouts division, the tag team division needed a solid tag team, and they got it right now with Allysin Kay and Marti Belle. Very happy to see them returning to Impact Wrestling. And I believe they have okay, it hasn't been announced yet, so I'm not gonna spoil anything. But yeah, it's gonna be it's Allysin Kay, Marti Belle feuding with the Death Dolls. I'm sure it's gonna be over the Knockouts tag team titles. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride, especially with Father Mitchell and Father James Mitchell involved as well. So this is going to be a wild ride, wild feud for the Impact Wrestling Knockouts tag team titles, and exactly what the Impact Wrestling Knockouts tag team division needs. So it's good to see Allysin Kay and Marti Belle return to Impact Wrestling. Giselle Shaw. I'm sorry. I just want to point. Giselle Shaw was absolutely hilarious this week. Ruining people's meals. I thought that was hilarious. She walked, oh, did I just ruin your meal? That's what I do. That's what I do. The guy's gonna eat it. She pours water. Oh, did I ruin your meal? Yeah, that's what I do. I thought that was great. And I think it's great. We're gonna see now Deonna Purrazzo one-on-one with Giselle Shaw. It's great stuff. thought that was very, very funny. And speaking of funny, while that segment was funny, I thought it was a little too much comedy in this episode of Impact Wrestling, or the last episode, especially with Matt Cardona in the beginning. He's got to change in the closet, then he's going to change outside. Um, too much comedy stuff going on with Matt Cardona, I felt this week. And then you had Johnny Swinger with the whole I need my next opponent, I gotta win 50 straight matches to get a title shot. And you got that in there. And comedy here. If they just did the Giselle Shaw bit, which was funny, that would have been okay. But I hope they're not going back into more and more comedy stuff. I just thought there's a little too much comedy this week on Impact on Access TV. And speaking of a little too much of something, Tom Hannifan needs to relax with the first time ever match announcements. He said it, I think, 3 times in the course of 20 seconds this week. And he said it 5 times altogether in the course of I think 4 minutes. First time ever matchup. First time we're gonna Kenny King against Rich Swann in a first time ever matchup. There was a few others. Masha Slamovich against Mickey James in a first time ever matchup. I mean, once in a while you have a first time ever matchup and you announce it. Oh wow, that means something. But if you say first time ever matchup, 5 times in the course of 4 minutes, it just devalues its meaning. And I tweeted out, I said, Tom Hannifan, you do a great job. I tagged him. I said, Tom Hannifan, you do a great job for Impact Wrestling, but maybe you should ease up on the first time ever match announcements. Maybe you should ease up on the words first time match ever. First time ever match, I should say. And he responded with just a simple why. And I explained to him, I said, because if you say it too often, it devalues its meaning. And he didn't respond to it. So maybe we'll see. We'll see if he takes my advice. And just tones it down for a bit. I mentioned it to BQ, and he BQ of the Impact Lounge. And he at first he didn't notice it, but when I brought it to his attention that he's sending me a message, oh my God, he said it 3 times in the course of 30 seconds. He didn't BQ wasn't he didn't notice it, but like I said, when I brought it to his attention, then suddenly he noticed it. He goes, my goodness, it's ridiculous. He keeps saying this first time ever matchup. I mean, it could be like Hornswoggle against Josh Alexander. The first time ever, Hornswoggle 1-on-1 with a gobbledygooker. The more you say it, it just devalues its meaning. Even if something's the first time ever match, you don't have to announce it every single time, unless it's like Josh Alexander against like Kazuchika Okada, like a big match like that, first time ever. Then you go first time ever anywhere, Josh Alexander against Kazuchika Okada. That would be a big match to announce as first time ever. But we'll see if he takes my advice. Speaking of Josh Alexander, he actually named some of his opponents that he would like to face. He mentioned Kazuchika Okada, as I just mentioned, Shingo Takagi. Actually, he was speaking with Sportskita's Max Everett. It was an interview, and he said that he would love to face Shingo Takagi while he's still in his prime, and Kazuchika Okada as well. And now that New Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact Wrestling, they're we're going to see some more big time show collaborations between the two. And very well could see Josh Alexander against Shingo Takagi or Kazuchika Okada, or I'd love to see him against Tetsuya Naito. Would be a great match for Josh Alexander. Is very well could happen anytime soon. Very, very soon. It could very well happen. I think Alexander against Okada would be absolutely outstanding. Alexander against Takagi would be outstanding. I'd love to see Alexander against Kenta. Hopefully we're going to get that match. And I know I talked about it earlier. I hope we're going to get that match, Alexander against Kenta. But Alexander could hang in there with anybody. So if we get Josh Alexander against Kazuchika Okada, man, oh man, that would be absolutely something. And I think it would happen in Japan. And I think we're going to see Josh Alexander in Japan defending the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship in 2023. I'm thinking we're going to see a New Japan Pro Wrestling Impact Wrestling show in Japan in 2023 as well. But he said that he would also like to face AJ Styles, which would be terrific. It would be the old versus the new guard of Impact Wrestling. But he says his ultimate dream match if he had one more match left in him, unfortunately he doesn't, but if he had one more match left in him, the ultimate dream match for Josh Alexander is Kurt Angle. Okay, so no surrender. Here are the matches we have so far for no surrender, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So as of right now, no surrender. Mickey James defends the Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Title against Masha Slamovich. Josh Alexander defends the Impact Wrestling World Championship against Rich Swann. Um, Brian Myers versus PCO versus either Steve Macklin or Rhino versus Eddie Edwards or Heath. I know who it is, but I'm not going. I know who the other two are, but I'm not going to spoil anything. We have Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Kushida versus Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Kenta. Go to sleep, Kenta. Someone's going to sleep in that match for sure. Deanna Praza versus Giselle Shaw, and Speedball Mike Bailey versus Jonathan Gresham. I was reading that Bailey versus Gresham is going to be a pre-show match. I hope that was a mistake. I hope that was a mistake because if that should not be a pre-show match, not at all. I think we're gonna get Frankie Kazarian. I think Frankie Kazarian against Big Con as well. I believe we're gonna get as well. That should be before I go, let me just pull something up here. Let me go to the Impact Wrestling website. I might have missed a match or two. I normally look at Wikipedia, but they're not always up to date there. So let me events. You can see no surrender. Let me pull up the card here on the website. If I missed anything. Okay, so those are the matches that are announced. I believe we're getting Big Con versus Frankie Kazarian as well. All right, so we're gonna leave it at that. So Jonathan Gresham. Oh, it is right here. Jonathan Gresham, Mike Bailey. Countdown to No Surrender. So they're on the pre-show. They're on the Giselle Shaw, Deanna Praza are on the pre-show as well. Why? Oh, that's an incredible match there. Gresham against Bailey, and you're sticking it on the pre-show. I guess they want to sell tickets. They want people to buy the pay-per-view, so they're going to put that on the pre-show. But that's a mistake. That's a mistake. But that's my opinion. But anyway, okay. So we're gonna leave it at that for now. Tomorrow is Great Voyage 2023. Pro Wrestling Noah's Great Voyage 2023. Kaito Kiyomiya defending the GHC Heavyweight Championship against Jack Morris. Should be an outstanding match. It starts at 2 a.m. My time tomorrow morning. I'm going to try to watch it. I'm going to do my see if I get a review show out on it as well. But until I'm back, if any news breaks, of course I'll be back. Right now we got the J Cup going on. GCW J Cup going on is on Fight Plus. I'm probably going to turn that on right now. I believe actually they got Jonathan Gresham against Mike Bailey's booked for that show as well. Maybe it's just a practice match. I don't know. But it's not on the pre-show for GCW, but it's on the pre-show for Impact Wrestling. But anyway, so we're gonna leave it at that for now. Any news breaks, I'll be back. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until then, until I'm back, thank you very much. Oh, I got a haircut. See, hey, look at that. I got a haircut. No more fighting with my hair. Nice dome, huh? Nice shiny dome I got there. But anyway, until I'm back, thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. Hit that subscribe button and take care, everyone. So long. Bye bye.